Yo, everyone. It's your boy, Ken Nee. And, well, guys, we freaking made it. We did it. We have made it through the regular season of fantasy. It's been done. Um, and it was a very good year. Very competitive year. Definitely more on the competitive side than previous years for sure. It literally came down to that final week and had multiple teams, you know, available to even like make it into the playoffs. So it was a fantastic year. Some good football, some weird players that kind of rose, in fantasy aspect, but it worked out really well, well for us. So just taking a look here at the final standings. We have over on the east side, Dan claimed that division at 10-4, claimed a playoff spot. Same with Corey. Corey ended up outbeating Nick and Shane here, and claimed also the final playoff spot, the playoff four. And then over on the west side here, I did claim the number one seed here, finishing the season at 10-4. And BMAC claimed the number three spot at 9-5. So it was nice, even split 2-2 from each division. And we are the four of us are one step closer to that chip and nice little cash prize with that. You know what I'm saying? So, so looking at the final season standings, obviously if you want to increase yourself a little bit, to make sure your average placement's good, keep playing. But top four here, myself, Dan at number two here, even though we had the same record, but I had more points for. BMAC at three, and Corey got the fourth spot. So for points as well. So um, you know we ended up all honestly 1,400, 1,900. No one hit the 2,000 mark, so that means everyone had those games where they had like under 100. So it wasn't like I think in the previous years we've had some 2,000s. So just looking at the points for and points allowed. Look at Dan at 15-13, as we like to know the schedule merchant, picking off wins against teams that can't score. But hey, listen, he got lucky this year with that. Very unlucky is Tybo, 1899. That is, almost led the whole both categories in something. So, but he also had the least amount of points scored. Or no, actually, BMAC did. Not BMAC, Ant. Sorry, Bonks Bombers. But yeah, so and same with Vinny here, 1778. So yeah, so definitely probably an easier ride for Dan, and he's definitely the hottest team right now going in, winning his last 6 games. So that's going to be a really good matchup between Dan and BMAC there for those 2 weeks. Before we even jump into anything, let's talk some NFL news and talk NFL in general. I think we could kind of like incorporate that just because we're getting towards crunch time, so we could get your thoughts and everything too. So first off, Phillip Rivers, QB1, coming back to the Colts. Um, he's currently on the practice squad, but like I think there are signs stating that he may actually start on that Sunday, which would be insane. Which unfortunately is going to delay his Hall of Fame eligibility for another 5 years. So if they sign him up to the active roster, so that's something to keep in mind. Right now he's on the practice squad, so if he gets dropped, it's all good. He could still be eligible next year for the Hall of Fame. But yeah, that is so interesting. That was news to me. I mean, I think honestly, if that's going to benefit anybody, it'll probably benefit mostly Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor, because in the past Rivers has definitely, you know, uh, leaned on against his running backs. That's kind of been his thing, really, and he's more like short to mid range. You don't really see Rivers chucking it downfield. So if anybody that's going to have an effect on like negatively, probably definitely Alec Pierce because he's a deep threat. I mean, I think Pittman still gets his work, but I think it's definitely less than Daniel Jones. I really think it's going to be Warren, the safety blanket, and Taylor have the most benefit to this. If he starts. Now, if we get Tyler Ward as emergency QB1, we have a Taysom Hill situation again. That could benefit. Well, unfortunately, it benefit Shane, but wouldn't really matter. Um, so that's some big news there. Um, the Eagles collapse. We'll talk about that. And Justin Herbert bro, fractured hand, no problem apparently. So I want to talk a little bit of football here. Let's go into the division standings here. I want to get you guys who you think is going to come out of the East or come out of the AFC and the NFC. But we'll take a look at the different divisions here and kind of I'll make my predictions on who I actually think is probably going to win. So we'll start off with the AFC East. We got the Patriots and the Bills. Now, here's the thing. Patriots 11-2, Bills 9-4. They play each other this week. So this is a big week for Buffalo if they want a shot at the division. They're only 2 games back. Honestly, I think Josh Allen gets it done this week against New England. I really do. I mean, he's definitely been playing a lot better. You can tell that. You could tell he's that game against Cincinnati. He was fantastic. So I guess it's really what version of Josh Allen you're going to get. Are you going to get the one who throws like 2 picks and less than 150 yards, or are you going to get the one that throws 3 touchdowns and rushes for 3 touchdowns? So it really depends. I mean, New England, their schedule has been super easy this year. I mean, listen, you can't knock them for their record. They're 11-2. They're just playing who they have on their schedule. There's nothing you can do about that. I think Buffalo beats New England. I think by a field goal this week, and they're in contention for this division. Granted, though, unfortunately, New England's schedule the rest of the way is pretty easy. They play the Dolphins and the Jets. And they play the Ravens, Dolphins, Jets. So they'll probably win all those 3 games, especially the Dolphins and the Jets game. So they'll probably end up winning the division, but it may come down to the last couple weeks. So I'll say New England's going to win the division. I don't think they'll make any noise in the playoffs, personally. But, yeah. Now we're looking at the AFC North. I think this could be a division where we have a negative record winning the division. So it looks like it's going to be between Pittsburgh and Baltimore currently. I mean, Lamar, since he's come back from injury, just has not looked the same. And I'm sure BMAC can attest to that. He really hasn't. That offense as a whole really, has not it just hasn't looked good. That was a great game against Pittsburgh. A very, very close. Some drop passes though, but I could just see the frustration in Lamar, and I would trust the Steelers defense over the Ravens defense 100%. So I think I'm going to lean Pittsburgh winning the division. I mean, it's going to be close though. It's going to be close. But I give it to Pittsburgh. Baltimore had that string of 5 wins in a row, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the same Lamar we're getting. So I give it to Pittsburgh. Now Jacksonville and Houston. Oh, and Indianapolis. So there's a 3-way here pretty much for this AFC South. Give me Houston all day. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I have not seen a defense like that since like the Seahawks defense back in the day. That defense is unbelievable for Houston. They smothered Mahomes, made him play like garbage. I mean, just all year, that's what they've been doing. So I give me Houston winning this division. If they can get their offense right with C.J. Stroud, that's a contender right there. Because I mean, if your defense could just stop you just really, this stage of how football's played, you just need a mediocre defense and then a decent offense. And honestly, it has a mediocre offense and a great defense. So, I mean, if like I said, if they could just figure out that offense, get that consistency and flow, Houston has a great shot at this. I would put my money down on Houston for like making it to the conference championship game. Like that's how good their defense is. And honestly, I mean Trevor Lawrence has also played very well the last few weeks, but I think Houston's going to end up winning this division. Sorry, Colts. Things have just going been, I just feel bad for Danny Dimes. He was given this amazing opportunity, and of course, it's taken away from him with stupid injury. Colts were on fire literally for a majority of the season. So I think they've lost like three straight now. I mean, if you have to go to if you have to go to the point of bringing back a 44-year-old QB, not saying that that's like bad, but I mean, if there's no other option, like they could have brought back Andrew Luck. I mean, he's younger, so but that means they're definitely desperate. But I don't know. I don't know how the Colts. They may not even make like a wild card. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But um, give me Houston. AFC West here. I mean, this is crazy to talk about the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they have just looked so bad. This is crazy. This is the first year I think in 15 years where AFC West will have a new winner. Denver, Los Angeles. I'm going to say Denver for sure. I mean, with Justin, we don't know. Justin Herbert being kind of banged up a little bit. Return of Amari and Hampton definitely will help them, but Denver just looks unstoppable too. So give me Denver in this division for sure. Sean Payne's done a great job with those guys. Bo Nix is playing, as good as he was his rookie year. So probably even better. And honestly, I think the injury to Dobbins helped them because they brought out R.J. Harvey and he scored like 20 plus fantasy points the last couple games. So, um, kind of very similar to what the Patriots did with Travion Henderson. It just took them a while, but and look, they're winning now. So, yeah, give me Denver. With Sertan coming back, definitely helps them out. Um, I just think with the Chargers being a little bit banged up as they are, I just don't see them winning this division. And now looking over to the NFC, this is an interesting one. This division here, the Eagles and Cowboys. Now, being on a non-biased channel currently, for myself, if I truly had to say who's going to win the NFC East, it probably is going to be Philly. I mean, it's just the remaining schedule for them and the remaining, like they play the Raiders, the Commanders twice, and the Bills. So they take the L against the Bills. They really shouldn't win. They really shouldn't lose against the Commanders or the Raiders this week. They just really shouldn't. I mean, they're a way better football team than that. It could be, granted, some of the Eagles, opponents the last few weeks have been pretty tough. Um, so, I'm not saying, there's a possibility that the Cowboys could sneak it, but I mean, if you're being realistic, the Eagles should win the division. Um, but the divisional games, you never know what happens. But it's just crazy to think that we're at this point that this is even a thing. So, and now looking at the NFC North, this is a team where we could have we could have potentially three um, teams on a in the playoffs from one division, which is nuts. Got to get rid of JJ McCarthy. Sorry, Tybo, if you're listening to this, just get rid of him. You'll have like maybe these will be reversed. Um, Packers, Bears. I mean, it's crazy to me. I just think that the Bears are just not good. I mean, they don't really have much of a defense, right? I don't know. Ben Johnson is just you gotta make him like the highest paid coach or something because it's crazy how one person turns it around. Um, you know, Green Bay being a 9-3-1, 9-4, Lions 8-5. I mean, the Lions right now they're a little questionable because defensively they have lost so many key guys. Actually, Brian Branch just tore his ACL, so he's out for the year. That's a big loss for them. You know, obviously there's no question about them how good they are on offense. Now the question is their defense. Can they, you know, can they at least, you know, remember I said as long as you have a mediocre defense and a good offense, should be good. Well, is the Lions defense mediocre now? I don't know. They just lost so many guys that I think it's below average. So we'll see. I mean, they definitely have the firepower to keep up with teams. Um, it's just a matter of defending. This one is a really close one, but I mean, who I think is going to probably win the division. Um, I mean, I really like Green Bay. I really do. Defensively they are just with Michael Parsons and they'll feast on guys. And then offensively, with Christian Watson coming back, it's been a big boost to their offense. He spreads even losing Tucker Kraft. I mean, they've been finding a way to win games. Love has been spreading that ball around very well. Josh Jacobs playing at a high level too. So, Packers look really good right now, and they are probably one of the teams that have the most balance between their offense and defense, and hence why they're 9-3-1. So, I think it'll end up coming down to just Green Bay and Chicago personally for the division, but give me Green Bay, and they're currently looking at potentially for that one seed too. So, yeah. Now the NFC South here, we got Tampa Bay and Carolina. Whew. This division, this is the division that always, like it's always like set like 8-8 teams or something. It's so weird. Like this division, you never have a clear cut winner. Um, but Tampa Bay is usually in the mix. In the previous years, it's been Atlanta. But this year we have Tampa Bay and Carolina tied at 7-6. Who knew Carolina would be here? I mean, they've looked really good, but I mean, you got to give me Tampa Bay for this one. With potentially Mike Evans coming back for Tampa Bay, that's going to be a big help to Baker. Godwin's looking pretty healthy now. You still have Ibuka, you got Kate Otten, you got Bucky Irving back, so they're getting their guys back. They're getting back to that, offense that made Baker on an MVP level in the beginning of the year. So I think that Tampa Bay will definitely take this. Carolina's look great. I mean, they're still in the hunt, in the running for potentially a wild card spot, but their best chance right now is the division. So, but give me Tampa Bay. They get all those guys back. I think they'll be in contention. They'll win the NFC South. And then over here on the NFC West, another dogfight here with the three teams. You got the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers. This one is a battle of who knows, man, because I will say Darnold, if I'm going to be honest with you about the Seahawks, Darnold he struggles against good defenses. Um, I I think he's kind of been down a little bit. Not JSN, but like just himself. He's been lately throwing a few picks here and there. You know, granted, don't get me wrong, he's been playing pretty good this whole season, but Rams have just been dominant all year. And Stafford has been slinging that ball. Stafford's on an MVP candidate. He's like probably top two right now, and maybe Drake May. Um, and I wouldn't sleep on the 49ers either. I mean, they're 9-4. They're coming off the bye. They got their guys are healthy. They got Purdy back now. They'll have Purdy for the home stretch. Um, and guess clap to Mac Jones. He did okay with them, honestly. But now you got your guys back, Purdy back. Everyone's healthy. Besides, I think the only person not healthy is Ayuk. So they have Ricky Pearsall back. They have Juwan Jennings. They got Bourne, Kittle, McCaffrey, so they got all their guys too. So they have a good shot too, but I want to give it to the Rams. They've just been so good this whole year. Um, and with Kyron, Blake Corum, Devontae, Puka. I mean, the way Stafford's slinging that ball. I mean, give me the Rams. So yeah. So honestly, like, if I truly had to pick, and these are just my picks, any teams coming out of the AFC, um, you know, potentially, I really like Houston. I seriously like Houston. I know it's crazy because they're 8-5 and they may not even make the playoffs. But if they do, that is a team to fear. You don't want to play them in the first round. So give me Houston. If they don't make the playoffs and it's a team that does make the playoffs, Denver all day. Give me Denver all day. And then over on the NFC side here, yeah, I really think it's going to come down to between Green Bay, Rams, or 49ers is who I think is going to come out. Um, I think I really do like the Rams this year though. The Rams are good, or Niners. I think honestly those two probably for me will do it. I do like Green Bay a lot though. But I don't know, it's just something about consistency all year has been is what's keeping me kind of afloat. So give me the Rams. Niners are just they're going to be unstoppable too, especially when they play Tennessee this week. Whew. So yeah, so what do you guys think? You guys comment down below who you think the division winners are going to be and who's going to come out of the NFC and the AFC and to host us a nice little Super Bowl here. But it's just crazy this year. It's like they never expect to see Kansas City down here. You would never expect to see New England up here. So this has been a complete opposite year. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit of football there, just because we're getting to that crunch time in real life. But now let's go ahead and take a look at our last week's matchups here. So what's going to be happening going forward is this will be the last recap of all the matchups, and then going forward I'm probably just going to do the winners bracket matchups just because people in the constellations don't set their lineups, so there's no point in actually talking about those. So we'll just do the winners one going forward, and then we'll do some additional recaps like who was the fantasy MVP of the year, who was the steal of the draft. We'll kind of do one topic maybe a week or something to kind of finish out the weeks. And then we'll do 1 week we'll go through who the trades that happened, who ended up winning those trades. Was it a win that week or was it a win for the whole season? So we'll kind of go through and do things like that. So first off, let's take a look at the last week's week 14 final season or final week of the regular season. We have I want to start us off with the matchup of the week, and this would have been so much fun if Corey took the loss. But this was a great matchup, Shane versus Nick here. Shane edging out Nick 125 to 123. And I want to start off with these two teams because I want to talk about the great seasons they had. This honestly was a really good season for them. I know they didn't make the playoffs or anything, but think about it. They were down towards the bottom of the division. Then Nick went on a 5-game winning streak. Shane went on a 4 or 5-game winning streak. So they put themselves in contention for a final playoff spot when they should have had no business. They were at the bottom. Come what was it? I think it was come week 9 or 10, and they just won. And so and they've just been winning and winning. So it was a hard fought battle. And I respect both teams. Very, very, very good teams all around. And this was a fun battle to watch for sure. So we'll start off here looking at Shane's team here, and it was a question, at why he benched Josh Allen. But I mean, I guess it really didn't matter anyway because he still won by 2. So So looking at here, Joe Burrow, welcome back, Joe Burrow here, 23 points. So hopefully that's something we see consistently from him. Very nice to see Kyron. So one thing to note about Kyron, um, I don't know if you noticed, Blake Corum and him are now splitting. It is almost becoming a split. Blake Corum had 26 points, but that was because they won. They won 45-17. So they didn't need to put in Kyron. They were resting him, so they put in Corum. But the fact is that they're splitting. So the Rams like what Corum gives them, kind of that explosiveness. Um, I still think that Kyron's their guy, especially because they signed him to a massive deal. Um, but it's just something to note. Unfortunately, here CD ended up having 18, but he did exit the game with a concussion. Um, we haven't. The only news we heard was Monday, where they said that he's doing good and progressing nicely. And because they have a Sunday night game, they have a little extra time to rest. So I think that he'll be good to go personally for that Wednesday, especially if it's in a must-win game. I think he'll be good to go. And I just wanted to just first talk about this game. Jalen Hurts, uh, what was he doing? I mean, the fact that this game even went to overtime, it was a pretty bad game on both sides. The Eagles 5 turnovers, oof, brutal. It was brutal for Jalen Hurts. Um, but I mean, the fact that they brought it into OT and only lost by a field goal, it, that was crazy. I mean, Justin Herbert didn't really look. He wasn't the greatest either, so it was a really bad game for the QBs. Um, but man, did Hurts not look good there? That last play, he threw a pick. He could have tied it. They could have tied the game, and he would have ended up with a tie. But no, they wanted to go for the win. So yeah, that was just a bad game. The only person that probably looked really good there was Saquon. Um, which I'm not sure why they just didn't run the ball that last play, but to each their own. Tyler Warren here. Uh, remember I said he's going to finish as a top five? Look at that, 4. Bam. Um, he definitely has been struggling a little bit. You can see the consistency; it's dropped ever since kind of the Colts have been doing bad. He's been doing bad. Um, I just think that offense flows through Jonathan Taylor, and there's like a stat that says if Taylor scores a touchdown, they're like have like what is it, like 8-0 or something, and then if he doesn't, they're like negative record. I forgot what it is. Um, so yeah, in other words, that offense flows through him. Um, but 3.7, not what you usually would see, and but I think this could be a positive impact if they have Philip Rivers come in. Um, finding the safety blanket, Tyler Warren. And then Luther Burden with Roma Dunze out kind of took over that wide receiver 1 spot. Finished with about 11 points. Um, but Caleb likes to kind of sling that ball around, so there's no consistent. Even though Adunze is supposed to be the guy, he slings it around. But they did lose to Green Bay, and that's why Green Bay took over the number 1 spot. Brandon freaking Aubrey, 23 points. Remember what I said? Normally in this the QB got more, but if you're leading point scorer as your kicker, you usually never works out in your favor. But his QB also got 23.36, so wasn't his leading scorer. But that's great. That's 23 points is huge. That honestly pretty much probably wouldn't have given Shane the win if he didn't score that. So overall, decent game from Shane, and picked up the W. And looking over on Nick's side, Keenan Daniels, oof, that was a brutal game. 31-0 they lost. But I get it why you wouldn't want to start Herbert against Philly, because he was questionable to begin with. Um, but bad game from Jaden. Just the Commanders all around this whole year has been bad. Achane did actually leave the game with a rib injury. They're saying he could have came back in if he needed to. I truly think that I think that he's going to be okay personally. Um, he's going to be held out of some practices, but I think he'll be able to play next or this coming week for sure. And then JSN, what he had 2 touchdowns, I think it was, or whatever. Yeah, I think it was. Yep, 2 touchdowns. Guess Atlanta, 7 catches, 10 targets, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Your de facto wide receiver 1 on the year, which is actually incredible. Say it every week, just what you expect. And then how about Christian Watson taking over that wide receiver 1 spot for Green Bay? I truly think he's the wide receiver 1. I know he spreads it around a lot, but he really likes Watson and the deep that he brings. 24 fantasy points for Watson, a very good game. And ever since he's come back, he's been very productive. Like targets wise, 5, 7, 10, 4. Last few games. So Love likes looking Watson's way, and rightly so. But overall, great win here. Finished the season 8-6. You finished the season above 500, and Nick with the 500 record. Average, got that B grade, just like I said. The next matchup that meant something towards playoffs was going to be BMAC taking on Vinny here, and BMAC, congratulations here on the win and securing your number 3 spot on the playoffs here with a nice little 31-point victory. I mean, yeah, like we just talked about Jalen Hurts, 0.4. I mean, he pretty much got 0, so no QB, no problem. I mean, granted, Vinny didn't trade out London. He kept him in, and he was out. I don't think Vinny really looked at his lineup, so it's okay. Well, he did, because he took out May and Christian McCaffrey, so he probably didn't realize it. It's okay. So, I mean, the fact that he had no Drake May and no Christian McCaffrey anyway, figured he wasn't really going to get a win because those were his 2 top scorers. But, you still have Stafford, and Saquon had a better game, Jalen Waddle. So it's just been a rough year for Vinny, especially with his wide receivers being hurt. Yeah. But, it was a valiant effort. He had 2 guys that got 0. Actually, Ravens defense got him 0. So it's tough. It's tough, but just a unfortunate year for Vinny too. But congrats, BMAC here. 37 from Gibbs. He's in the conversation of number 1 draft pick next year. I'm just gonna say that. And a great scoop up of Harold Fannin, number 6 tight end on the year. Kind of just a random guy, just kind of coming in. He's been very good. Shador loves him, it looks like. The last few games, 6, 5, 11. I think Njoku got injured too, so this is going to make Harold Fannin an interesting, play potentially for next week. Do you play him over Gadsden? So, it's interesting. We will see. And yeah, Devontae 6.9. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of this was definitely a Puka game for sure. And Jameson Williams still at 17, even with Amon-Ra. So, that is really good sight to see that someone like Jameson Williams, with the amount of weapons that the Lions have, they're feeding everyone. Like Gibbs is eating, Jameson Williams is eating, Amon-Ra is eating. I mean, they're all eating. Even David Montgomery as a backup is eating. So, that is really good to see. And a convincing win here by BMAC, and he moves on to the playoffs. So congratulations, BMAC. With the bench to Igbuka too, that is really interesting. You wouldn't have expected that, right? But smart play though, because he only got you 3. So he's doing BMAC's making some smart start sit decisions, so we'll see if that continues into the playoffs. And the next one that had some playoff implications was Tybo and Corey. So Tybo taking on Corey here, and there was a sliver of hope for Nick and Shane that Tybo would have won, but unfortunately Corey did also take the 26-point victory here. Puka had 35. Genuinely, it was a good to see because, from the beginning of the season, and he had some games, 12, 13, 16. Not those are bad games, but not what we're used to seeing from him. 2 touchdowns, so great to see Puka, kind of get back to his normal form. Potentially, if Lamb doesn't play, this could make Pickens the wide receiver one again, but I think Lamb's going to play. And Michael Wilson, I'm going to tell you something right now. If Marvin Harrison does not play, then Michael Wilson is a de facto wide receiver one. Look at the games that he didn't play in. These are the 3 games Marvin Harrison didn't play in. This game here, week 11, week 12, and week 14. Notice what happened week 7 when he played. So, just something to look at. If Marvin Harrison doesn't play, Wilson gets targeted as much as I've seen. And the fact that you have also Trey McBride. So that's kind of a sneaky duo there. Just because the amount of times that Arizona's going to continue to throw the ball. They're going to be down so much. So that is definitely something to see for sure. So that's one of the things to keep an eye on. Marvin Harrison, is he gonna start? If that's the case, then see what Corey does with Michael Wilson. And welcome back, Omarion Hampton. He did get a touchdown here, 14 points though, very good in his first game back. For sure, 14. We'll see what happens next week though. I know they've been splitting with Vidal a lot, just because Vidal played honestly very well in the absence of Hampton. Good win, and then Mahomes just, oof. This guy is not making the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now. Interesting enough, the number 2 QB, but not making the playoffs. I just don't think. And then over here on Tybo's side here, Josh Jacobs had a good game. Jared Goff 16. It's funny, Tybo was saying Jerry Jeudy's gonna outscore, Amon-Ra, and I think he did. I think Jerry Jeudy ended up having a better game than Amon-Ra. Unfortunately, Mark Andrews with 1 catch here. He's been, ranked 15. Kind of been mediocre all year, not really what you expect. But wow, DeAndre Swift about hit his projection, 11.1, 11.2. So, yeah, this is kind of what you're used to seeing from Tybo. I mean, he's had a lot of games where he scored under 100, but we were just kind of hoping like a breakout game, maybe from Jacobs, Amon-Ra, maybe even a Jordan Addison. I mean, that Vikings offense just looks horrific. Or even a Swift, but they're going up against some good defenses. So that's what Nick and Shane were hoping, but unfortunately Tybo couldn't get it done, and I think has lost 9 in a row or whatever. So Tybo, it's next year, my friend, next year. And Corey, congrats on winning the 4th and final spot, who you'll be taking on yours truly. And then we'll move on to the number 1 seeds facing off. Dan taking on myself here. And, Dan with a whopping 145 would have beaten anybody this week. So, congrats to Dan there. And there he goes again. Seahawks defense and Kickers defense. He can't keep getting away with this. That's all I got to say. I don't know how he continues to get away with this. But 34 points combined. I mean, you look at the upcoming schedule. There's no way he can play them against some of these teams, but he might, and we'll see what he does. But Jason Myers, look at this kicking, bro. Look at these recent games: 14, 19, 13, 14. He's putting up flex numbers, his kicker. So, I mean, that's how good the Seahawks offense is. He's gonna feast. And surprisingly, he's not rostered in more. He's not rostered more. But yeah, I mean, he succeeds based off his defense and kicker, and look what happened. Scored 34 points. Unfortunately, with T. Higgins though, he had a great game, but it looks like he was put into concussion protocol. He has concussion symptoms Sunday and Monday morning. Usually, if that's the case, they may miss a game, and it looks like he's not projected anything this week, so it looks like he's probably going to be out this week, which could definitely help out BMAC in his matchup. But looking here, Uh, Good game from DK. He's questionable. He had a stomach issue. He stayed overnight at the hospital, but I think he's going to be okay. He says he doesn't expect it to be the White House practice reps could be affected, so he should be good to go. Um, and yeah, so and he had Tet on a bye too and everything, so he'll probably be able to put Tet in, um, and then Dan will be ready for those playoffs. And then over here on my side here, very bad performances. Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. Um, I mean, I had Jennings and Kittle on a bye, so good. And even look, even my defense and kicker outscored his, and I still lost. So actually, my kicker having 20 really made it look like a better game. So, but remember what I always tell you: if your kicker is your leading scorer, it never works out. Kicker can't be your leading scorer. Just doesn't work out like that. You may get lucky, but 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose. So, like I said, this is going to definitely affect Alec Pierce with if Phil Rivers comes in. But overall, it was a good matchup, Dan. And congrats on the win. We tied. Fortunately, I have more points for, so you are now the number 2 seed and I'm the 1 seed, and we'll see if we make it to the finals to play each other. All right, and then moving on to the game that had absolutely nothing. It's just one of those games that did not matter. Trayvon taking on Ant here. Trayvon taking the convincing win. I mean, 71 points for Ant. I mean, Lamar had probably one of his better games, but I mean, it was like Justin Jefferson. I mean, we just have to talk about. I think you bench Justin Jefferson. You just have to. You have to because it is brutal. Like it's sad because he was picked third overall. So they put all that faith in JJ and it's affecting other players. So yeah, just a really bad week for Ant. I think this is one of our lowest scoring weeks though, 71. Even Trey had 113, still good, but a lot of teams would have outbeat him. So not one of the best weeks for Trey either, but still, RJ Harvey looks really good. I think that he could definitely take over that backfield from Dobbins next year, for sure. Great to see. It's really good to see. And like I said, Trayvon, he won out. The rest of his games needed to win out. Schedule unfortunately screwed him over. I mean, granted, Corey won, so it really wouldn't have mattered. But if Corey lost, the schedule would have screwed him over because of this matchup here. So, just very unfortunate for Trayvon this year. I mean, he definitely had the team. I mean, like I said, Rashee Rice missing six games already. The way Joe Burrow getting hurt, that affected Chase and Brown's fantasy output. So already, and then Brock Bowers just not, he's playing a lot better now, but like the beginning of the season, just very unfortunate for Trayvon. So we will see what happens here. But gentlemen, good. Enjoy. It was a good matchup here, and fortunately, you guys are both eliminated. So best of luck next year, and then it'll be a good year. We got a nice rookie class coming up. So I want to take a look at the matchups for this week, and we can start with the 1 versus 4. Now remember, this is a 2-week playoff, so I can't really predict on who's gonna win. What I will predict is like who will probably do better throughout the week. So taking a look here, me and Corey taking on each other here. Looks like Corey gets Rico Dowdle back from I have no more buys, so we are full playoff mode, no buys, all the buys are done. Corey puts Rico Dowdle in and grabs the Eagles defense. And I do grab Brock Purdy here as my QB and also the Bears defense. Taking a look here, I mean, this Houston matchup here for Arizona is going to be rough. And the Chargers for Mahomes. those defenses are pretty good, especially this Houston. I really think this has a big effect on Jacoby. I truly think it does. I don't think Trey McBride or Mike Wilson will probably do well. Not sure. But, I mean, you know, we'll see. Maybe they could have a bad week. Houston's 8-5, so they have lost games. But we'll see what happens here. And then my side here with Purdy going against Tennessee. And then he has, it'll probably be the QB, wide receiver, QB, tight end duo or trio here. So I'm taking the risk. If San Francisco plays bad, then my team's going to play bad. So we'll see. Maybe Purdy will throw some touchdowns to one of these two and get the QB and the little duo points. And then against Tennessee, they shouldn't shouldn't matter. But crazier things have happened. Only issue probably is going to be the running backs, Seattle and New England, for Taylor and Cook. We'll see how Taylor looks with the new QB, whoever it is. I'm sure the offense will still run through him, but yeah. But overall, I think just because of these two matchups here, I mean, it's kind of like 2-2. I feel like I like my chances this week. But, according to the projections, we're pretty much 50-50. So just for this week 1. So we'll see what happens. If it's a close week, then week 2 is all game. So best of luck, Corey, and we will see what happens. I don't think we have anybody playing Thursday. Oh, you have your kicker Thursday. Okay, so we'll see what happens. And then to our final winners bracket matchup here, we have Dan taking on BMAC here. It looks like BMAC's going with Jackson Dart here at QB. And everybody else is keeping the same. We scooped up the Jaguars. Defense here, Dan. Looks like he put in Tet. Took out T. Higgins. And he's keeping his Seattle defense. And, honestly, that might be good to go. Because if you think about it, whoever's the QB, it's not going to be as good as Daniel Jones probably, the way he's been playing. So, we'll see. But it looks like BMAC here has a massive first week projection. Projections don't mean anything. So we'll see what happens here. This should be a very good matchup here. If I'm gonna lean anybody, wow, this is a close one, but I think I want to lean BMAC's side here. I mean, you got Jackson Dart against Washington. Washington's horrific. Cincinnati's defense is horrific too. Derrick Henry, Harold Fannin, and Judkins. They're gonna feast. Dak will definitely have a good game. Bijan, Bucky. I mean, it's crazy because these projections, they don't mean anything because honestly, this is a close 50-50. This really could be. Especially teams fighting for their playoff lives. This one, if I had to lean for the week, I would say BMAC, but this one could definitely come down to next week's matchup. So best of luck, gentlemen. This is a very important week. Sometimes it could be decided by this 1 week. If you win by 70 points, if you're up, up by 70, you're more than likely probably going to end up winning the week, or winning the round 1. But you never know. But anywho, gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in all year. This is probably going to do it for this week's episode. This is it. Week 1 of the playoffs, fantasy playoffs. You got NFL teams kind of fighting for their lives and stuff here. So, but yeah, we will see what happens. Best of luck to Dan, BMAC, Corey, and myself here. We are 25% away from $500 and taking home a chip. This could be Corey's and I's 3rd chip. This could be BMAC's 2nd chip. I think this would be Dan's first if he wins it. I might be wrong on that, but so yeah, so we got some vets in here, so this should be an all-out battle. And to the rest of you guys, it's been a fun year. Can't wait to do it next year. Excited. Should we? I think next year we probably go back to the minute 30 pick. If we have the time, but we'll see. And gentlemen, as always, Kenny's Corner saying peace.